towards connecting our talk to what Paul just told us. We're basically also doing infrastructure for trading companies and investment banks, but not so much the external one connecting them, but rather the internal one. And so that is maybe, I don't know what your background is, so that's why I'm saying that this is mainly concerned with, risk management in a large extent, and what to buy and what to sell. So you want to know how your portfolio is doing and all these things. And if you have a lot of different assets and things in your portfolio, that can get quite complex. And that is basically the internal problem that these companies are facing, and that's sort of the area in which we play. And tonight it's Björn and me, Jacob, and then we also have Valentina, who's a developer who's speaking from Berlin. And why don't you take it on?
Yeah, thank you. So, yes, beacon. So you've talked about financial institutions, about infrastructure, a platform, about cost saving. But beacon actually is much more. So our history actually comes from investment banking, from building platforms, as you introduced us quite rightly. But what we're really offering is a platform which allows, banks, financial institutions, but also other people to build on top. And, we summarize it kind of here on this slide. So what's the problem statement really? So if you are a company and you'd like to innovate, you typically have quants, data scientists, desk developers, and these people are usually very good at applying analytics to commercial problems. So it starts out with you bring a few desktop computers together, you install Excel, you start implementing algorithms, you might move to Python, and you start building infrastructure ad hoc if you want to. What's the problem with that? So you have those people who are really good at applying analytics to the problems you have, but these people usually lack the experience with enterprise technology. So how to kind of bring that together, how to grow a team which can still effectively innovate while growing, because that's not what these people bring into the business, and you then often lack the environment and the tools to be productive in the end. Now, as I said, usually what you do is you start with something which is easy to implement. Say you start with an Excel spreadsheet. That's easy to get started, but quickly gets out of control, as you all might have experienced. Also, people then tend to use Excel as a user interface and build something around that. You might start by black box vendor systems, something like, in the financial world, not sure if people are familiar with that, so typical ETRM system, trading system. You can't really extend them, they're kind of a black box, you get what you buy. If you want to kind of extend, you have again to build around it, spreadsheets or with limited interfaces. You can't see the code or change it if you want to. Or you end up having just developers coding on their own desktop machines. You can't really bring the development together then easily. Development and testing is typically then far from the production environment where you want to deploy your system to the users in the end. It doesn't encourage you to use shared tools, and you don't have a shared coding culture in the end. So everyone's kind of doing their thing on their desktop, and you lack the platform to bring that together. A typical landscape this might result in is a system in the end, if that grows over time, and Paul, you've alluded to that by describing how banks have grown their infrastructure starting from the 80s up to today with their silos and different systems which are somehow interconnected, but you end up with a very fragile and risky system in the end. It's very costly to maintain, we've talked about that. It typically also depends on then individual people who know a system really well, and you can't afford to lose them, or it's very costly if you lose them to train new people up, and obviously it doesn't scale in the end. And another thing which then often happens is that you have a bureaucratic lockdown, so people tend then to put processes in place to avoid things breaking, making the organization very slow. And instead of being agile and being able to innovate, in the end you lose the innovation you started with by having this grown system over time, which doesn't scale.
So that really this can you go back one second? So really, so we have two levels here. The one is technology-wise, so you do a quick fix, but it doesn't have structure to it. So you end up with a system that you can't maintain. And then the second one, the bureaucratic lockdown, is often just a reaction to that, right? Oh my God, never touch a running system kind of thing. We can't change things, or we don't allow innovation or things to change anymore because we need our structures. And then a typical other approach is to say, okay, there are these technology experts, IT maybe, for example, IT, who then know how to build enterprise technology in a proper way, but they lack the business knowledge, and the quant teams or people that are supposed to bring the business forward then basically don't get many things done because they have these bottlenecks of IT people and needing to get through to different bureaucratic steps to get their things done. So this really slows it down, and that's a problem. That's been a problem for a very long time, and I've seen it in other trading organizations as well. And really, I think one of the first ones to solve it was Goldman Sachs, and you already talked about that. So Goldman built a platform internally with all kinds of functionality for their quants and developers close to the business to innovate, but stay within the frame of building good enterprise technology. And actually our founders, that's Kirat and Mark we were talking about before, and many of the people actually working for Beacon, they started working at Goldman Sachs at these systems, and then Kirat and Mark went on and built another platform at JP Morgan, and then Kirat did it again at Bank of America, and then 2014 they said, well, now we have the cloud, now we've done this so many times, now we can actually use the cloud and use new technology to make this a product so that basically everybody can have such a development platform internally. When you have a platform like that, gives you basically leads to integrated systems, because people start developing things there. They have controls, so you can't just write code and release it into production. There are certain processes that you have to go through, but they're automated, and you can make sure that the controls that are necessary will be complied with. So it actually enables you to do things faster. If you go this road, if you use this instead of Excel, you actually get your stuff done. And you typically have tools that also let you create user interfaces, so you don't depend so much on other people anymore. So you have an incentive to build on top of the platform, so it creates an integrated system. You have controls that are enforced, so that the control mechanisms in the company are also catered for, and it creates a culture of collaboration, because for example, one part of these platforms is that you use typically one central language, and that's Python, and people can then share and don't have to reinvent the wheel and reprogram data import over and over and over again. So it creates a culture of sharing, and it then enables you to internally build your own systems, and you kind of get rid of this problem where part of your stack that you have in your company is black box vendor systems, because you can slowly carve them out as you build your platform. So things that Beacon does, basically, that a platform should be doing, and what Beacon does is sort of unifies the way that you access data in the company. There's, data expert writes one way of accessing data, and then everybody can use it. I already said it enforces controls, and you have all kinds of tools. For example, ways to automate the jobs, run jobs. You have ways that you can build UIs easily without needing to know how to write JavaScript and these kind of things. So all the tools that a developer needs to be productive, and all the tools that a quant or business developer needs to be productive without being an expert in enterprise technology are there.
Yeah, I guess for many of you this might sound, I guess many of you have heard that a lot. Probably most of you work in that way already. For many financial institutions though, that's kind of revolutionary because processes, the way, so we've seen that in banks, in commodity trading organizations, the way they usually organize that, they have their isolated system, very rigid controls, and none of that is really present. So they don't have anything like a platform or common code sharing. Typically, developers, analysts are far away from the business. If they want to deploy something to the business, they have to go through many, many steps, and it's very bureaucratic. So for many of these institutions we're targeting here, so banks, financial institutions to start with, that's a big step forward for them, and really a leap to be more productive, saving costs. So if we move on, so really in that sense, Beacon is the only platform on the market that contains, all the below here. So, on the first hand side, we've built end user application, so something, so in particular for a trading business, what we call a trader workstation, which is really an environment for people to trade in, so aimed at traders. The risk management platform associated with it, so you can run your end-of-day risk directly on the same platform using the same data using the traders are seeing, and you can do data analytics, data science alongside with it. You can innovate on the platform, so the quants can directly write code on it, very easily deploy it in a controlled way and provide support for these applications here, and that goes alongside with data security, a dynamic infrastructure which lives in the cloud, full disaster recovery, which then provides scalability, efficiency, and again reduce costs for these organizations.
I think what's important to add is so there's 3 dimensions here. We were talking mainly about the platform part before. But one thing that's also maybe not new for you guys, but new for a lot of financial institutions is that they get automated infrastructure management in the cloud. So, for example, we don't just run their Docker containers, but we also have tools for let's say parallel compute, so an elastic compute. So if you want to run a massive parallel credit risk simulation, then you can just get 4,000 cores, and it will shut them down afterwards and will automatically spread out your calculations over the grid. So this is sort of infrastructure. Then you have the platform, and then that's a package, but really we are building products on top of that platform that we sell to our clients. And all these products are open source transparent basically to the client. They can't fiddle around, but they see the code and they can inherit and build on top of that.
Not open source in the sense that we open it to everyone, but to those clients.
So this is really how the product is then structured. So we have Beacon Core, that's essentially the platform and all the infrastructure management. Then we have Beacon Standard, which is all the main business logic that you have in trading. So it will, for example, give you best practices on how to handle time series data, how to build pricing curves and so forth, and then down to how to define instruments and how to define risk reports, and all that is in Beacon Standard. And then we have applications in our App Store, which we'll have a slide afterwards with a list of applications, but all kinds of applications that you need in trading. So we have in commodities, for example, we have an end-to-end commodities trading system. So we have trading houses that use Beacon to do everything from pre-trade analytics to then trading back to back office. So those are the like applications that we have, but also for analytics or other needs. And then there's also a way for, well, then there's a custom layer, basically what the customer builds, and the applications you can also have their own applications run on our platform. And then there's also the possibility for third parties to build things that we can then offer through the platform. So basically this is kind of the screenshot of two of the main start screens. So this is kind of like for developers that we were talking about. So you have things like an IDE that has all the necessary workflows in it. You have software tools for software development, lifecycle and control. You have and sort of code reviews and stuff. You have the infrastructure management and monitoring there, user management and job scheduling and so forth. And then on the application side, it's just a list of things for like structuring products or marking. So if a trader kind of intraday has an opinion about the market, he can mark up his volatilities and curves and then price off his products like that he would like to price. Pre-trade analytics, trader workstation that we were talking about, risk calculations, credit risk simulation, and then all the things like regulatory reporting, end of day processing, invoicing. That's all the applications basically, and it goes a bit home.
Yeah, indeed. And maybe a point to make as well. So if you look at our end user application, not something we've built into kind of the blue. A lot of that's been developed together with our first clients, in particular around the commodity trading offering we have, which is really an end-to-end solution for commodity trading houses, from something like structuring, so coming up with trade ideas, really bringing together different structure payoffs and putting or creating a product out of that they'd like to trade, from then booking that, marking the right curves, stuff like volatilities, for instance, so how the market is going to evolve, basically forecasts of that, and different ways of doing analytics around that. And then once you've booked those transactions, you need to have an end-of-day reporting. Different ways of looking at your risk, so something like value at risk XVA. And also the regulatory reporting which goes with it. So really then front to back up to the invoicing in the end of your clients. That's really one, if you want, example we've built on top of this platform. We are developing, as a company, we are also developing other use cases. That's probably the one which is because we had a client in that space which is most developed so far, but we are talking to other people and we're looking for other partners to use our platform, and I believe that's the last one we have.
The second last.
The second last, okay. So as I said, so we ourselves, we built on top of Beacon this front office suite of applications, including really low-level business logic used in production by some trading houses already. We have modeling documentation frameworks, commodities trading solution, just talked about that, and the number of bespoke applications people are using. And as mentioned, clients of us and also third parties can build on top of Beacon. So they can, via Beacon, sell their own IP with Beacon, and we have different ways of doing that, and we have some of those arrangements in place. Actually, other people can sell their applications or modules to other Beacon clients. We offer that. And one example is a company called Simplex in Japan, which has actually developed a capital market solution for banks using the Beacon platform.
So that's entirely their product that they're selling it, but there's like the Beacon platform behind it. And when we sell our product, then the clients get exactly the same development tools and exactly the same environment that we developed in ourselves. And also all the code that's behind this. So you see kind of like, well, you can't really see, I guess, but you see all these kind of applications, but you could just go in, and I don't know, add a button if you like, because it's all there and you can debug it or whatever. Right? So it's basically giving clients a head start.
So the idea is really to have this platform which enables us to build an ecosystem where we build on top for clients, full solutions, but also other people can use it and build for their needs if they want to. Yeah.
So where we're currently at, so we're growing. We're about a bit more than 70 people, I believe, right now. We've offices in New York, that's where we were founded, and in London, Berlin, and in Tokyo, where you met Beacon, with about a bit more than 15 clients, larger banks, insurances, asset managers, and hedge funds, and Björn and I in particular active in the commodities field. And we just closed our first Series A funding, so we were happy that we got funded by PIMCO, which is a large investment firm, and then we have Barclays also, and Global Atlantic, which is an insurance company. And we're looking for partners, people interested in Beacon. We either are interested in building functionality together on top of Beacon, or people would like to sell products through Beacon, or potentially also maybe join clients where we could do projects together. Yeah, that's what we thought for tonight.